So I'm currently joined here with Dan Greenawalt, the lead creative director for Forza Motorsport. Thank you for joining us today in this wonderful place.
Yeah.
Have you been enjoying it here?
It's been an awesome day.
Yeah?
I mean, it's hard not to love being surrounded by Porsches.
Yeah.
It's a pretty emotive brand, and it's cool to be around it, but also getting some track time,
Yeah.
hanging out. And then we've had a lot of, Forza fans in here, and so it's fun to be able to talk with people and kind
People
of
in
give
the
them
community,
context.
yeah.
Give
So it
them
must be nice
context
to like
about the
speak
game.
to a lot of I say loyal player base, but a lot of people who play this game for, dare I say, a living, just like they're really passionate about it. It's
Absolutely.
obviously nice to hear praise and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And just build a connection.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is about building community at a macro level, but also even just today, we're just getting together to have a chat.
So when you announced the car for the Porsche GT2 RS at E3 earlier this year, what was the reception like? Because I was talking to a lot of people online about what we thought the cover car was going to be.
Yeah.
So the reception's been fantastic for it, I'm guessing.
It really was. As we were loading the car in, it was all hush-hush, top secret. Nobody was allowed to see it. It was veiled the entire time, and we had a code name for it, and so it was all super, super secret. But I was actually a little nervous going out on stage that people wouldn't understand the gravity of what was being displayed in front of them. And happily, they did. So we really romanced it in the script, and took that veil off, and they got to see the car, and the audience was, flabbergasted.
Yeah. Now, obviously, speaking of the Porsche, a question for you as such is, what has been your favourite cover car for not only Motorsport, but for perhaps Horizon as well? Like, out of all the cars that you've chosen for the cover car of the game, is there a particular favourite that you have?
I tend to become pretty infatuated with whatever the current
latest one is. Yeah.
When we do these partnerships, we learn all of the ins and outs of why the brand makes the decision it does, and then why the engineers make the car they do, and the designers. And so when you've had a designer walk you through every little facet of the car, it's hard not to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So whether it was the Centenario and being walked around that, the Ford GT, or of course the Carrera GT, the GT2 RS, it's impossible not to just come away thinking, wow, this is the greatest car ever made.
Yeah. Now I was going to ask, personally, I'm a massive fan of the tag game modes and whatnot, because I like racing seriously online, but is there any chance that with Forza 4 there was the car football? Any chance of it ever coming back? Any chance of something like that ever coming back?
Well, we tend to never say never, but when that was born, there was no Forza Horizon. And in many ways, having both Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport, which are two expressions of the same franchise, but they're different.
Yeah.
Right? Different expressions of that franchise. Certain, motorsport lends itself to competition, and it lends itself to precision and mastery. And Horizon lends itself to kind of playing around, exploration and fun. Yeah. And so, I think that mode lends itself naturally to Horizon. This is not a promise of the future one way or the other. I'm just saying never say never. Exactly. I'm just saying we never say never, because our community, there's always requests, requests for things we've done in the past, but also requests of places we can go in the future.
Now, Maple Valley is a track that's come back to Motorsport 7. Was that difficult to do, to bring that track back? Because it seems very similar, just a little. There are a few changes here and there. The pit lane now is on the right side as opposed to the left. But other than that, it's stunning. It's been completely remade, I'm guessing.
Well, that's exactly it. It's been completely remade. So the name has come back, the feeling has come back, and the ribbon layout has come back.
Yeah.
But it now has advanced materials, which include how the tarmac heats up and cools down. It's got patching. It's got all the advanced simulation. Even though it's not a real-world location, you apply all of that simulation to it. And of course, it looks wonderful, right? Those fall colors, the New England look, it's just beautiful. But it was rebuilt from scratch, and it was rebuilt for 4K.
Yeah.
This is native 4K, 60 frames per second with high-resolution assets on the Xbox One X, and that track shows it off really well.
Is it based on? Is it like inspired by anything, or is it just like a mixture of tracks that have all come in to play?
Our original tracks, there were times we took inspiration. It really depended on who the track lead that was working on it and which designer they were working on. So we have had tracks in the past that were based on other tracks. That one was not.
Yeah.
So that track was largely just designed based on the types of cars we wanted to have on it. So the short version of that track is really good for low class, like C and D cars. And then the larger track is actually more sweeping, and so you can have really dramatic races on it.
Now, it's 32 tracks in Motorsport 7, over 200 ribbons, I'm correct? Now, a lot of the tracks in there are, well, a few of them are originals. You've got Prague, you've got Rio. When it comes to creating these showcase tracks, dare I say, how does that come about? Do you just think, right, okay, let's go to Dubai this year, and next year we'll do the North Pole? Who knows? Like, who knows? Is there like a place where you think, let's go there? We haven't been there.
These tracks are technical and gameplay showcases for us. So we look at where we're trying to take our technology base, Forza Tech. We look at experiences we're trying to create and kind of the vision behind the game, and that helps us decide where we want to go. So in Forza Motorsport 5, we were talking about the imperfections that make things look real. And so going to Prague, where you're going to have, the
cobbled streets.
Exactly, like buildings that are, no building is newer than 100 years. I mean, everything just has that age on it. That really lent itself to that. And with Forza Motorsport 6, we were looking for color and vibrancy and to bring that level of life into it. And so Rio really made a lot of sense. Now with this version, we knew that Forza Motorsport 7 was going to be built from the ground up for Xbox One X. And so we thought about high-resolution textures and photogrammetry, which is a technique for building high-resolution textures. Those rocks that are on Dubai look fantastic. Now there's lots of places we could have gotten rocks, but that was the place we thought, okay, well, of the short list, that's one.
That sounds good,
But then we also looked at HDR, and we wanted to capture that feeling of heat, so having white sun-baked concrete and tarmac and have that reflect the sunlight and really glow. That was something that helped us choose, well, we should probably go towards the desert. And the other bit was the heat shimmer. We knew that on the Xbox One X, we wanted to have heat shimmer and bring the environment to life that way. So all of that kind of narrowed it down from our short list of tracks to Dubai.
I was going to ask you as well, in terms of the tracks, is there a particular favorite that you have? Is there one that you have a fond memory of, perhaps?
For years, my favorite track was Laguna Seca. It was one of the first tracks we built.
It's been I'm pretty sure it's been in all the Motorsport.
It has. It was actually one of the first tracks we built as a team in the original.
So it holds quite a special place.
It does, because I've spent so much of my time relaxing after a long day, working, being in meetings, talking with people, and I just want to kick back. I'll choose a car, I'll go to Laguna Seca, and I'll just dial that car in on that track, because I knew just every nook and cranny. But when we introduced Watkins Glen, it became my new favorite. The flow of that track is just magical. I love that track. It's so much fun to drive.
Again, speaking of tracks, one of my personal favorites that I would love, as a suggestion, Imola. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, because I'm sure like licensing and to actually go scan tracks takes a lot of work and effort. But Imola, I think, would be a pretty nice one to chuck in there somewhere.
It's a great track. I mean, we've got this list of tracks and a list of cars.
I'm guessing
and we reprioritize them every version based on what's changed. New race series, new leagues, how much it's been updated, how easy it is to go on location there. Lots of reasons that we change from one track list to the next. Interesting.
Now, Forza's always been one to push the boundary, push the envelope. Every motorsport game that has been, I've always felt has always had something fundamentally different. It's always been a challenge, and it's always accomplished that, I feel. One thing I've always wondered, now with the power of the One X, is VR a possibility with the motorsport franchise?
Possibility, of course. I mean, this is technology that we've looked at.
Down the line, obviously.
But where we're really focused on our innovation is community, building community. And some of that even includes esports, and what we're looking to do with inventing new ways of playing in esports and a new form of motorsport all up. Innovation takes time, and really polishing that experience takes time and energy, and we want to do this with the community, doing updates, listening to what they say, and moving forward. But that's where our focus is right now.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much.